Well, since you want to talk about it, let's talk about it.
All right, what's up, y'all? Thank you for tuning in to Unfinished Business. This is now episode 2. This may be some of your guys' first episode that you've seen, but for those of you that tuned in to episode 1, Danny and I, we are so grateful and thankful that you would tune in. We got a lot of great feedback from that first episode, and if you did watch episode 1, you're going to see that we did make a few changes. We upgraded just a little bit, right? We're still working on it, so we're excited, and we're just trying to get better and better with this. Keep giving you guys content that you want to hear about. For those of you that are watching on YouTube, I need you guys to do 3 things, and they're super simple, not asking a lot. The first one is to like this video if you see it. Even if you just watch 10-15 minutes of it. The second one is to subscribe. That's going to be very helpful, and then it also helps you as well. So when we drop videos, you're the first to know about it, and you're the first to be on it. And then the third one is comment, and this is where the fun comes in, right? You comment, we're going to talk back with you, converse a little bit, let us know something. So that's what I need my YouTubers to do. For those that aren't watching YouTube and are just listening to this as you're driving in your car on the way to work or something like that, we are on every major platform. So if you want to tune into YouTube, go right ahead, but we're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio, anything you can think of. So, you can really tune into Unfinished Business anywhere, anytime, any day. So we're going to need you guys to do that. And then last but not least, we'd like you guys to follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We are going to put it on the screen for those that are viewing, but for those that aren't, that's going to be Unfinished. And they took our handle, so it's spelled a little bit differently. So it's @_UNFNSHED. So just a short version of Unfinished. So that's all I got to say there. As always, mentioning our sponsors, Rate My College Coach is what will be the biggest database of student-athlete generated reviews in the NCAA, the NAIA, and the NJCAA. That website is going to be dope. So just tune into it. If you're an athlete, it's going to be super helpful for you. If you know someone that's going to be an athlete, they're still a senior or junior in high school, tell them to check it out before they, make a decision on where they're going to spend the next 4 years at. And then 21 Future, premium streetwear brand that's coming to you in 2021. So with that being said, I would like to introduce my co-host, Danielle. Danielle, what you got to say to the people?
What's up, guys? As Tia said, we definitely appreciate everyone who has tuned into the first episode. And even if you didn't, and this is your first episode watching, thank you, welcome. We hope that you tune in the future. And we hope you just really like what we have to say, and just like she said, comment and interact with us. We like interaction. If we say something that might have triggered you, or you felt like it's wrong, if you want to have a debate, whatever it is, you want to show love. We always appreciate feedback, positive criticism, whatever it is. We appreciate that feedback. So we're gonna get right into it for y'all today.
Exactly, and you may not like what we have to say, but we want to hear that too, and we're gonna tell you why. You wrong and we right. No, I'm just playing. But anyways, then, all right, so let's get into it. So this has been a championship week. We had the NBA Finals. We had the WNBA Finals. I want to talk about, though, what everyone has been talking about for the most part. That's the Heat versus Lakers.
Right.
Crazy series, right? Lakers ended out on top, but not without the Heat going down without a fight, right? And so we weren't able to get an episode in after Game 5. So I did want to kind of go over Game 5 and kind of what went on there. The Heat actually took Game 5. They edged out the Lakers, and it was a lot going on in that game. But what did you think about Game 5?
So I feel like initially my brain goes to the last play. So I'll start there. The last play where, and I want to break it down from when Bron caught the ball and called for that screen, because I see a lot of different things on Twitter. Sports Twitter can go a lot of different ways, but there were some people saying, Bron called for the screen and he knew they were going to double team him, triple team him, so he didn't want to shoot that shot. right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there were people saying, well, he called for the screen because he knew that they would double team him and he would be able to kick to an open Danny Green or an open, Marcus Morris, whoever it is. And so from that play on, when he kicked to Danny Green, and Danny Green, it was short. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I've seen Danny Green hit those game winners for the Spurs. I've seen him hit big shots for the Raptors on their championship team.
Yep.
Danny Green this is his third ring. This isn't new to him.
Mm-hmm.
But for him to be a professional basketball player on the court to shoot threes and play defense, and that ball goes almost a foot short. I mean, to me, that's terrible. Mm-hmm. As a basketball player, as me, like if that's me, I'm pissed at myself after the game.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I know he had to be. However, in the same breath, people are psychotic and they go as far as to make death threats to him and his wife, and they take it all. That's too much.
Mm-hmm.
But also, we were both on his head for missing that shot because what are you doing? What are you out there for? You know what I mean? But for that whole last play, I mean, it was a broken play, and then the terrible pass to Anthony Davis, and you had someone on the wing that was wide open. The whole play was broken. I'm glad they were able to come back Game 6 and clean it up and win the championship. But as far as Game 5 goes alone, we also can't discredit what Jimmy Butler did. I mean, everyone was talking about the picture of him being bent over and just being completely exhausted.
Yeah.
I have no doubt in my mind that Jimmy Butler and that Heat team will be back and definitely will win a championship because of Jimmy Butler and his efforts and how he was able to carry that team. So Game 5, it was good. It was a lot going on. That last play, the shot, how Jimmy Butler played, everything.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
So I'll start off with what you ended with, and that's Jimmy Butler. So we definitely have to give him his credit. I mean, the man played crazy, and I'm gonna name off his stats right now. He had 35 points on 11 of 19 shooting, so that's over 50%. Right?
That's tough.
He had 12 rebounds, and he had 11 assists and 5 steals. So he was filling up the stat sheet everywhere. And the crazy part about it, and it just goes to show how tough the Lakers are, is that they needed every single one of those statistics from Jimmy Butler in order to win.
Absolutely.
If he had one short of anything, they wouldn't have took that game. And so I really just want to give a shout out to Jimmy Butler. It was kind of tough watching it. Neither one of the teams I'm not like a huge fan of, but you pick your team and you kind of go with it.
Right.
And I definitely was rooting for the Lakers. And so as being a quote unquote Lakers fan for the finals, I'm like, damn, can they not stop this dude? They couldn't get one stop on him.
Right.
He was going absolutely nuts. And so, I watched that and I'm just like, I've seen Jimmy Butler kind of grow as a player. I went to Marquette my freshman year, so I've actually met Jimmy Butler, which I thought was pretty cool. You know what I mean? Got to take pictures with him. I was a junior, senior in high school. Super nice guy, super stand-up guy. And so just seeing him kind of go crazy like that and get all the accolades and things like that he was given, I thought was dope. He came up short, but I think that's okay. I just think they need not even a couple more pieces, but it's hard when you're going against freaking LeBron James and Anthony Davis.
Right.
So like I said, shout out to Jimmy Butler. In regards to that last shot, though, we can talk about Danny Green all day, and me and you, we had a conversation about it. He should have made it, and nothing pisses me off more than, now I know people, we're basketball players, you're not going to hit every single shot.
Right.
And everyone's not built for shots like that. You know what I mean? Seconds going down, it's for the game winner. You either going to make it or you don't.
Right.
He missed it. I think the thing that annoyed me is that as a three-point shooter, just as a shooter in general, you're short. That's probably one of the worst things that you can be. Had he hit kind of the back of the rim or something like that, that's a little bit different, but you never want to be short. But here is where I have a problem. Why put the game in role player Danny Green's hands when you can close out the finals in Game 5? And this is what I said on the last episode with LeBron, what my gripe is with him. He doesn't have that killer instinct. And I know you were saying that people had those takes that he knew the double was going to come. I'm one of those people.
Yeah.
LeBron's IQ, he probably has one of the best IQs in the league.
He absolutely does.
He knows, he can probably tell you the other team's play and there's people on the bench that don't even know their own play.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure he's done that before. I think I saw a headline like that. You had Jimmy Butler one-on-one. What more could you ask for? You know what I mean? He was, in that game, he was 6 of 9 from the three-point line. So when I think of that last shot, I say, okay, any other star in the NBA, no matter what team you pick, is likely going to take that shot 9 times out of 10. Mavericks, Luka's taking that shot. Portland Trailblazers.
Dame is pulling him.
Dame, he's not letting nobody take that shot. Dame is taking that shot. Phoenix Suns, Devin Booker is taking that shot. I can go on and on. You know what I'm saying? So when you talk about legacy and you talk about things like that, this isn't the first time that LeBron has passed up taking the last shot. So, you know, you kind of scratch your head and you're like, okay, I understand the right basketball play, so you say. But I also think that it's an excuse in a way because I would rather LeBron. Now, granted, he knew he was going to get doubled. He knew they were going to collapse on him. It was 4 players on him. I'm not saying he should have took that shot. But he had Jimmy Butler one-on-one. He called for a screen. He brung Duncan Robinson all the way over, which added that 4th player. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even still, he had Jimmy Butler on his hip. It's pretty much a stop and pop.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe that's not his game, but I've also seen LeBron James kind of do the same thing, stop, shimmy, and hit the fadeaway. You know what I'm saying? Yes. So it was a lot of different options that he had, and I don't like LeBron fans. They really like piss me off because it's okay to be a fan of someone, but you can't keep sugarcoating.
Yeah.
You know, you can't keep sugarcoating. Call it for what it is. If my favorite player playing like a hoe, I'm going to say, you know, he played like a hoe. Now, in this case, LeBron was not playing.
Right.
He was playing amazing. Let me make that clear. He was playing amazing. But I would have liked to see him take that last shot. I don't think that you put the ball in a role player's hands to win the game, and I don't think that any other star would have did that. I think that they could have closed out Game 5, and I think LeBron could have been the one to do it. And honestly, had he done that, what else can people say, you know, when it comes to LeBron James and his legacy? I think that they're always going to say, unless he plays for 5, 6, 7 more years and shows us, you know, he will step up and do that. But they're always going to say, LeBron afraid to take the last shot.
Yeah. And I'm one of those people, like you said, like LeBron James fans can be, they just cut him the most slack in the world. And like, I love LeBron James. Don't get me wrong. But I love LeBron James, and in the same breath, I still believe that Jordan is the best player of all time. Kobe's the best scorer of all time. You know, like that's just me, and we can debate that all day long, and I've done it a million times because, well, what has Jordan done more than LeBron? Oh, he has rings. Well, if that's the case, then Bill Russell can go because he has 11. You know, like I hate that argument. But to me, like you said, Michael, Kobe. Why do I need a screen? I'm not calling for a screen. I'm gonna create, and I'm gonna shoot a fadeaway. I'm gonna hit it in your face, and then I got my 4th ring. Yeah. And you know, in Game 5.
And that's on me, not on anybody else. I did that.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. And I saw people too comparing how Jordan, you know, passed to Kerr and passed to Paxson for those last shots for some of those championships, which is fine. You know, like you said, the right play, whatever. But. It like you said, in the moment, him calling for the screen, you know, just everything, how the whole play progressed and how it went down and how LeBron has played in year 17, he isn't as aggressive. He isn't as like, you know, I'm going to be the player to take that last shot. And if we're being real, LeBron has choked before. He has definitely choked. And that's, I mean,
any athlete has. Yeah. If you want to call that a choke, you know what I'm saying? Like, everyone has at some point.
Absolutely. And I could never. You know what I'm saying? That's why you get paid millions of dollars a year to do that exact same thing. And so it can go either way. Like I said, I'm glad they won. I'm glad they closed it out. But people will, and I'm sure they'll talk about this on First Take and Undisputed for weeks about that last shot or Danny Green. Like this man was trending almost the whole playoffs, definitely the whole finals because he was shooting poorly. He was shooting the ball poorly, and he just wasn't hitting those same Danny Green shots that he always has been hitting his whole career. So, yeah, this Game 5 was interesting, but Moving to game 6, championship game.
Yep.
I was so happy to see that reaction from Anthony Davis, and just that there was a video and it was just kind of showing him like kind of accepting and realizing the fact that he won his first championship.
Mm-hmm.
And the way him and Bron did it, I mean, he had a double-double, Bron had a triple-double. I mean, it was perfect, and it was just, to me, like you said, as an athlete, as a basketball player, watching that and seeing that moment, I was like, man, that's beautiful. You know what I mean? Like just seeing him and Bron celebrate, and Bron just being genuinely happy for like, yo, like yeah, we got our first one together, but we're not done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And game 6 was lit too. I mean, it was kind of a blowout.
Right.
And so a lot of people didn't really enjoy it, but I feel like a lot of people that didn't enjoy it aren't like real hoopers anyway. Because if you watch game 6, the tempo that the Lakers were playing at was crazy. Like, it reminded me of like AAU days, kind of like all up in your face. Like, you can tell that they had one goal in mind, and, there was nothing that could get in the way of stopping them from getting to that goal. When they say defense wins championships, that was some of the best defense that I had seen the Lakers play, maybe all playoffs.
Yeah.
All playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you get there, it's really not much to talk about there. You want to get into individual stats. LeBron, he had 28, 14 rebounds, 10 assists, so he ended with a triple-double. Anthony Davis had 19 points, 15 rebounds. KCP, he was playing pretty good in the finals, and, I get on KC all the time, because he just had too many games for me where he's in the game, the whole game, and he'll come out with 0, 0, and 1.
Yeah.
or something like that.
Early on in the playoffs, he definitely was playing terrible. All of the Rose players were.
Exactly. But he came back, and so he was an important person in that Lakers run in the finals. And then, number 9, Rondo, he came to play. And I think the way Rondo approaches the game, I love watching him play, because even off the court too, you know what I'm saying? You don't hear too much about Rondo. If there is stuff going on, he's a very private person. And so it was one interview, this was before they even got to the Heat. I think it was when they were playing the Nuggets. Yeah, the Nuggets. Mm-hmm. And they're like, yeah, so we're hearing about all the guys, they're kind of doing all these extracurricular activities, maybe going swimming, fishing, things like that. What are you doing? He was like, nothing. Absolutely nothing. He's like, I came here for one reason and one reason only, and that's to win a championship. And he was like dead serious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I think that attitude that I saw in that interview is exactly what he brought into game 6, because game 5, all of the role players and the bench players, they didn't come to play. And I think they realized that, because Caruso, he did a lot of great things in game 6 too. And so the Heat just couldn't keep up with that tempo. Jimmy Butler, no excuses, but he was exhausted. Yeah. And you saw the way he walked off at game 5. He was exhausted, and his numbers showed. He only had 12 points, but it's not even the 12 points. He only took 10 shots.
Yeah.
And that's just uncharacteristic.
It is. And that goes to show, like you said, just the work that he was putting in all playoffs. The man, like you said, didn't have a haircut, was wolfing, Cool. I hope he went and got an edge up immediately after the bubble ended. But going back to, like you said, on the Rondo tip, first of all, it's just crazy winning the championship with the Celtics, winning the championship with the Lakers, the two biggest rivals maybe in sport history.
Right.
That's huge. And I was the biggest Celtics fan when they won that championship. And when I say biggest, I mean I used to sit in front of that TV and watch Ray Allen and watch Kevin Garnett and watch Rondo and watch Big Baby Davis.
Oh, yeah.
Just loved him.
That was a great team.
Yes, they were so good. And then so to watch him go from that Rondo, and he plays not a completely different game, but he's much older and has a lot more years on his body. So to see from him go do what he did on the Celtics and then see what he did on the Lakers and just watch that shift.
Right.
It was like you said, I'm in awe. I mean, you as a point guard, I'm sure even more so, you know what I mean? But just watching that, I'm like, wow, you know what I mean? Like, Rondo really is one of the better point guards to ever play, especially in my generation.
No, for sure. You're exactly right. And so, like I said, he came to play, the Lakers came to play. They ended up winning their 17th NBA championship in the franchise.
Crazy.
It was Anthony Davis's first, LeBron's 4th. So they got a lot to celebrate. I'm pretty sure they're probably going to be celebrating for the rest of the year, especially with COVID and everything else going on. I will say that the NBA did a great job of like handling the whole bubble and things like that. I think I saw they didn't have one positive COVID test
They did.
at all. So to all the other professional sports organizations out there, that's how you run an organization, with keeping safety in mind while still providing entertainment to the people back at home. So,
Adam Silver for president at this point.
okay. So we talked about GOATs, right? LeBron James, right? He's in the GOAT talk. I don't think he's the GOAT. Some people think he is. That's fine. But there is another person in the WNBA, right? We're moving to the women's side that could possibly make their case for GOAT, Sue Bird. WNBA had their finals going on at the same time. The Seattle Storm took it best of 5. They won 3 games straight against the Las Vegas Aces. And Sue Bird, it's just so funny, right? Because I've been watching WNBA for a long time. And I can't remember a time where I was watching the WNBA where Sue Bird wasn't involved, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely.
She's almost 40 years old. She won her 4th WNBA title, and she won all 4 of them with the same exact team. What does Sue Bird mean to a league like the WNBA?
Sue Bird, I think, embodies just that person that you walk in the gym and it's like, ooh, like, you know what I mean? Like, and I know, like me, if I meet Sue Bird, I'm fangirling the same way if I meet LeBron James. You know what I mean? Like, especially just what she's done for the women's game. Again, you being a point guard, like what she's done for, those smaller point guards and just her tempo, her consistency on the court. Do you know how much consistency there has to be in your game and just in your everyday life to be almost 40 years old, getting your 4th ring year
As a woman.
She's in year 17. Her and Brown both in year 17, both won their 4th ring, and also just the way that she can be hurt, and she was hurt at a point in the
last
bubble.
year.
And
this year too.
And so with her being hurt and then the Storm still being able to succeed and still be able to, make the playoffs and do what they do, I think that goes to say too her leadership and what she does for players like Jewel Lloyd and Breanna Stewart and players like that. And I mean, Breanna Stewart has been a bucket since UConn, and like it's so effortless. It almost like makes me mad because I'm like, if I know for a fact if I'm in the gym guarding her and she's scoring on me, like she's not even trying, I'm good. Like I don't want to play.
Okay. No, but Breanna Taylor is the perfect fill-in when you talk about the Storm, right? Depending on how long you've been watching, the tandem of Sue Bird and Lauren Jackson. And, as a post player, I know you watched a lot of Lauren Jackson. And even though I'm a point guard, I had to appreciate the way Lauren Jackson approached the game.
Yeah.
And it's crazy when you talk about Stewie because she brings, in a sense, all that Lauren Jackson gave and more because she's so versatile.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Lauren Jackson, she could shoot the 3 too, but the way Breanna Stewart can handle the rock, I think her jump shot is a lot more fluid. Her footwork, immaculate. Lauren Jackson was all of those things, but I think her perimeter play is what kind of like separates her.
Right.
So it's amazing to me where you see Sue Bird and Lauren Jackson, they won those championships. I know they at least won 1 together, maybe both of them. And then you kind of see like Breanna Stewart and Sue Bird. And Breanna Stewart is kind of like not a doppelganger, but it's like Lauren Jackson. If Lauren Jackson was to have a daughter.
Yeah, it's like literally like looking in the mirror. Yeah.
So I think that was super cool to see. Breanna, she ended up being the finals MVP, and that was her 2nd one. So it was kind of interesting because this is their 2nd title in 3 years. Both Sue Bird and Breanna Stewart were injured last year. So I can only think that, they kept the same core group that they won the first championship with 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I can only think that had they not been injured last year, they might have been a 3-peat.
Yeah, absolutely. And a player like Jewel Lloyd too, I mean, again, been a big fan. Yeah. Since Notre Dame, I mean, she came out early. And any player that comes out early, they're putting in work.
Right.
You know what I mean? So again, when Super was hurt, I feel like Jewel Lloyd definitely stepped up and kind of, stepped into that definitely that scoring role. And she, she scores her points either way. But just I'm a huge fan of Jewel Lloyd and what she does and how it kind of mirrors Anthony Davis and LeBron James as far as like, Super knowing that she's in year 17. She's not trying to, mix everybody up every single play. You know what I mean? She might just be able to set another one of her teammates up to go score. They don't even have to do much. Or same with Jewel Lloyd, set Jewel Lloyd up to come off the screen and go score, whatever the case may be. So, and then just moving over to the Aces. I mean, I know Asia Wilson won MVP. I was kind of surprised that they were swept that way. But at the same time, they didn't have their star, Liz Cambage, and I'm the biggest Liz Cambage fan. Love her. Just love how she approaches the game, how her attitude, of course, like everything. And I know if they would have Liz Cambage, it would have been a completely different year and series. But of course, she had health issues, or she had health risk, and that's why she didn't go to the bubble. But yeah, that would have definitely been a whole different ball game for sure. With her.
And honestly, I'm not too surprised that they got swept, just because I had seen the way the Storm were playing, and I had seen the way the Aces were playing. The Aces weren't playing their best basketball, and they barely made it out of the semifinal round versus the Connecticut Sun. And some would say that the Connecticut Sun probably should have made it out of there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But of course, Asia Wilson, she was going nuts. She just, smashed mouth basketball, taking everything to the chin.
Yeah.
They kept fouling her. She was getting to the free throw line, and she was making her free throws. So I was surprised that they got off that round. Not surprised that they got swept, but as you said, keep in mind, the Las Vegas Aces, they were missing two very important players, the main one being Liz Cambage, but they also were missing Kelsey Plum too. And you saw what she was doing at Washington.
Yeah.
Going absolutely nuts. So I can only imagine that, I think the Seattle Storm, they won by at least 20 points in that game 3.
Yeah.
And, first half they kept a little bit close, but then they just kind of broke it open in the third. But I definitely think had they had Cambage and Plum, it would have been, I still think the Storm would have won, but it would have been a lot closer, and I think it would have went to a game 5.
Yeah, it would have been a better series for sure. But definitely always, I'm super, super just excited and glad for what the WNBA is doing. Just them even having a season. I mean, the NBA finished their season in the bubble, but the WNBA had their entire season in the bubble.
Yeah.
And I feel like no one is really talking about it. No one ever really talks about the WNBA anyways, unfortunately. Now it's definitely, more talked about, but them doing what they did at IMG and handling their business for the 2-3 months a lot of time, and they went and they did what they were supposed to do, and they went and got those women paid. They went and got those coaches paid, and now they're home and training, not going to go overseas and do other things. So again, that just speaks to the leadership and the league, and that matters. That type of stuff matters. And moving forward, getting women higher paid salaries, and you know what I mean. Not having players on the bench who are making $20,000 a year or something like that. You know what I mean? Like $100,000 minimum for anyone who's a professional athlete. I feel like is more than enough. So yeah, just definitely glad about the WNBA and how they were able to finish.
They handled it well. Did they have any positive COVID tests?
I don't believe so.
I don't believe so. So
no.
I mean, they're brother sister organizations, so it makes sense. And like you said, great job WNBA. You as well. Storm, they joined Minnesota and Houston as the only franchise in the WNBA that has 4 titles. So that's amazing. And I want to say happy birthday, Sue Bird. Her birthday's in 2 days.
Okay.
But when you guys see this, it'll only be 1 day. October 16th, she's turning 40. So that's nuts.
40-year-old go.
All right. So, as we segue over into our other sport, which is football, the big topic that's been kind of taking the lead by storm is Dak Prescott being injured, unfortunately. And I don't know if you guys saw the video. I did. It was very gruesome, super unfortunate. We send our prayers to Dak Prescott. He ended up getting a compound fracture and a dislocation of the right ankle. So, when you talk about that injury, it's like, okay, it's sports. Someone's bound to get injured, especially in a sport like football. But in Dak's case, it was that much more important because he was trying to get that big contract this past summer. and he and the Cowboys couldn't come to terms with that. So, you see this injury and you're like, okay, now his money may be messed up. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it just, I hate to see it. And especially when, not to necessarily compare Dak to, Pat Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, players like that, but those are franchise tag quarterbacks who, if I could rank those three, it would definitely be Pat Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, and then Dak. But it's not like Dak's game is just, a lot far off. And even a player like Russell Wilson, you know what I mean? All those black quarterbacks who have been getting paid, it's like Dak is likely so, you know what I mean? And his agent, his team is like, we need to get him paid. And I just hate that they weren't able to come to that agreement before the season. And now that he's hurt, like you said, his money might be a little funny. It might be, an issue. But if I'm Jerry Jones and I'm the Cowboys, I'm paying Dak before the end of the season. I'm making that contract. I put it in black and white. We're getting something figured out, a figure well over $100 million to just, make that very clear. And if they decide to try to wait for him to recover and come back and then give him that franchise tag, I can't really see that happening that way, and I hate that it had to go down like this for him. But I also, in the same breath, as an athlete, I hope that he does come back even stronger. I hope his comeback is twice as hard, and I hope he does get that franchise tag, because if not, that'll be probably one of the worst situations that we've seen out of the Cowboys. And a lot of people already hate Jerry Jones, hate his leadership, know he's stingy with money. So, and if he wasn't, Dak would have been paid before the season started.
And that's why I think, I know you say that's the right thing to do, but quite honestly, when it comes to the NFL,
business,
it's a huge business. And I don't expect them to do the right thing. They're going to do the right business thing.
Yeah.
So I see why Dak was crying. Not because he was hurt, but if it's me, I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
I get my all to this organization. I was playing my butt off last year, tried to get us to the playoffs, to prove, hey, I'm your guy. You don't have to look any further. You know what I mean? Pay me. Because in a sport like football, they need those contracts because of things like this.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Especially when you think about the injuries to the head. He could have took a hit to the head instead and not played another down again.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Andrew Luck with his shoulder is the same thing.
It's so sad. So he was playing for a lot more, right? So Dak, he was the 2016 NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year. So he came into the league doing great things for the Cowboys. He played this season under a 1-year franchise tag worth a fully guaranteed $31.4 million. I scoff at that. I ain't got $30 million, but seeing the way these other people get paid. Right. So this year, he was leading the league in passing yards, attempts, and completions this season. And then, boom, that happened, right? They wanted, so the Cowboys did offer him money. You know what I mean? They offered him a 5-year, $175 million contract with $110 million guaranteed. Dak said, no, I don't want that. I want a 4-year deal. Now, I was reading something that said something about there's going to be a new TV deal in 2022 that's going to help almost double, I don't know if it was salary caps or whatever the NFL is bringing in. So the salary cap was kind of going to go up, meaning that people were going to get paid more. So he wanted a shorter contract. So now that he got hurt, Sportscasting estimates that the rejection of the $175 million deal is going to cost him somewhere in the region of $144 million. Now, granted, that's if he doesn't play another down again. But you don't know what's going to happen. You know what I mean? The mental portion of it, as someone who's already he spoke out about mental illness and things like that and kind of the things that he was going through, and rightfully so. You know what I mean? When you think about everything that's happened with his family. He may, through this recovery process, it's going to be tough. What if he doesn't want to play football anymore? You know what I mean? And so you see that and you're just kind of like, dang, especially a black man. And I say that even though I don't like some of the comments that Dak has made in the past, I still view him as a black man.
Yeah,
and so
does everybody else.
Exactly. And that's unfortunate to see. And so one thing that I am going to say, though, is that I don't think Jerry Jones is going to do the right thing.
Yeah.
I think he's going to do the business thing. So Andy Dalton, he's a veteran quarterback. I think he was three-time Pro Bowler. What I'm hearing is that if he puts up a great season and gets the Cowboys to the playoffs, that gives the Cowboys more leverage in their negotiations with Dak.
Absolutely does, because they think that we don't need you.
Exactly.
Which is false, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Completely. And not to, discredit Andy Dalton or what he's done, but I just believe, especially now, you look at quarterbacks, think about the top quarterbacks in the league right now, aside from the classic Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the young faces. Look at who just signed the biggest contract ever.
Right.
Black man.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Lamar Jackson doing what he did for the Baltimore Ravens and what he's going to do for the Baltimore Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
Stud. Black man.
Yep.
So seeing Deshaun Watson, black man, you know what I mean? Dak, a black man. Like, that black quarterback position is wide open at this point. And that was a position that black kids, you need to go play safety, you need to go play wide receiver, or you need to play running back. Any position where you fast or big or strong. Mm-hmm. But being smart, playing a position where you have to be smart and think and lead the team, they didn't think that black guys were capable of that. Mm-hmm. And so just in society to see kind of that shift and see it happen. And my dad explained that to me. And he was like, "Yeah, they didn't have brothers playing quarterback." And my dad, that wasn't a thing. Wow. You know what I mean? They didn't think that they were smart enough to play that position. You know? Mm-hmm. So again, to have Dak playing for America's team, have a black quarterback leading America's team, you know what I mean? I think it says a lot. And I hope, like I said, Dak comes back and can make a comeback to prove his worth. And I hate that he's going to have to prove his worth all over again. Yeah. And I hate that for him. But I also think he can do it, and I believe he can. And I'm, like you said, Dak has definitely made some comments in the past where he, I use the word puppet to be mm-hmm. polite. But he was doing everything Jerry Jones, kind of wanted him to do, and was that franchise. When you think about the Cowboys, you gotta think about Zeke and you think about that. Like, there's not too many other people that you think about unless
he was the ultimate Hoosier in the Cowboys.
Oh my God. Huge cowboy. And that term is so funny to me. Inside joke for sure. But he was definitely he was smiling for the pictures and saying what he was supposed to say and everything like that. So I hope that he can come back and do what he's supposed to do the second time around. I hate that it's like that for him, but unfortunately, like you said, that is sports. People get hurt, and just in his case, his team didn't handle it right. And then to go a step further, Des Bryant, who loves to speak on the Cowboys, and I think he'll never stop speaking on the Cowboys. Kind of. However, he posted a video on Instagram, or reposted a video of, and I think the guy was a sport agent, and mm-hmm. I don't know if you saw it, but he was just kind of going in on the whole situation and just was like, well, if I would have never had my client out on that field without a contract, like I would have had him, shut out. He would have been on the sideline. I don't completely disagree. I halfway agree, because like for this very reason. Mm-hmm. And he was like, Dak bet on himself for 3 seasons, and he bet on himself this season, and then the worst of the worst happened when you bet on yourself. You injured
the whole reason why he was doing that. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Literally the exact reason. And so he was just kind of going in and explaining that. Not only was Jerry Jones wrong for not paying Dak before the season, but Dak's team was wrong for allowing him to step foot on the field without having a long-term contract. Like you said, a 1-year, $30 million deal is obviously not a bad deal, but when you're a football player, when you think,
And the quarterback.
Yeah.
And one that gets out of the pocket the way that he does sometimes, right? He puts it all on the line.
Yeah, he definitely does. So franchise tag Dak Prescott, I hope that's not just something that we can hope for, cross our fingers for. I hope that's something that will be black and white, and maybe next year after.
For sure. So we send our prayers to you, Dak Prescott. Hope for a speedy recovery.
Absolutely.
And I hope you get paid too.
Yeah. Get your bag, brother.
Shit, I need my bag.
Okay, get your bag, brother.
All right, y'all. So we ain't ready to wrap this up, but it would sit heavy on our hearts if we did encourage you to do this. Today's date is October 14th, right? We are 19 days away from the election. 19 days, can you believe it? It feels like, we've been talking about this or we've been hearing about this for so long. And so, I say that to say, if you're of age, vote. Regardless of who you vote for, you know what I mean? Vote at the end of the day. At least our people, Black Americans, African Americans, we had to fight for this. Women, we had to fight for our right to vote. So it's almost like a slap in the face to our ancestors by not doing so. You can early vote right now, and I don't know who's watching, but just areas that we're from. I know in Texas, early voting started yesterday, October 13th. It goes to October 30th. My people back in Minnesota, you could have started voting as early as September 18th. So if you haven't voted or if you don't plan on voting, I don't know what to tell you because y'all didn't have more time than everybody damn near in the United States. And then Indiana, early voting started on October 6th, but it's like absentee in-person voting only. So, go to vote.org and figure out, how to vote, where to vote. Hopefully you're already registered, but that's just my encouraging. Like, just go vote. I know I'm going to vote in early voting and get that over with.
Absolutely. I'm going to be real with y'all for a second. I didn't vote in the last election. I did not.
I didn't either.
Okay. I feel better.
No, we were in college. I was a 20-year-old. I didn't know. Honestly,
Right.
I can honestly say I was uneducated. You didn't even know how to go and get registered. It wasn't like our coaches were telling us to go vote either. And I'm not going to put it on them, but when you're that young and you're in college,
that's one of those things.
I need someone to kind of push me in a sense to learn.
And you see now, at least I've seen several programs, several teams posting pictures. Our whole team is registered to vote.
Yep.
So, and I mean, social injustice might be the cause for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I use the word might sarcastically, but it is something that is very encouraged now. And I'm glad to see it because a lot of those teams are filled with people who look like me and you, young Black men and women. So for coaches and teams to encourage that now and to y'all go in the field room and everybody gets registered to vote and everybody's good, then that's huge. That's a really big thing.
And I mean, you're dealing with 18 to 22-year-old kids, right? I know you guys want us to act like adults, but at the end of the day, we're still kids. And I know in high school, they kind of tell you about politics and things like that, and maybe for a reason, right? They don't really tell us about how to go and vote, that you need to register to vote, that you need to go and do this, that, and the other, that felons can't vote. And, there's it's so many kind of loops that you almost have to jump into because I feel like you shouldn't even have to register.
Right.
In a way, I think you should be automatically registered. But that's another debate. That's another topic. But, coaches, if you are watching this, I strongly encourage you, your kids may not want to register. They may not want to vote. And that's fine if they decide to do that. I'm not going to judge them. But I do feel it's your duty. You know what I mean? It's your job to let them know. And also to make sure that you guys aren't practicing and or getting in the way of them being able to go register or them being able to go vote. Like I said, me and Danny, we played on the same exact team. No one said anything to us about registering at all. So like she said, seeing these programs kind of make an effort to make sure that their whole team or anyone that's of age is registered, I think is amazing. And I think we need to see more of that because they're kids at the end of the day. And some of them may not know, some of them may not care. But if you step up as the leader of that team and kind of, import that knowledge onto them, that's amazing. And it would go a very, very long way because I know, when I think about that, just me not knowing, I made a pledge to myself, it's not going to be another year that I don't vote. You know what I mean? Now that I know and I see the ramifications that not voting has.
Yeah. And again, I'll be real with y'all. I waited until the very last day to register to vote. And it was one of those things where I constantly saw it on Instagram. I constantly saw people like today is October 5th or whatever day, whatever day it was. October 5th is the last day to register to vote. It's the last day to register to vote. Vote, 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 vote. Like I could not get on Instagram without seeing someone telling me to vote. I would be a fool to ignore all of that and just be like, well, you know. And I did take it a step further and kind of thought about it in the way that you said. That is a slap in the face to our ancestors. Not only, you know, our ancestors who were slaves who didn't even have the right to have a first name, but women, and then for us being Black women, you know, it's just one of those things where it's like, how dare you? You know what I mean? How dare you not vote? And my grandmother, she's 70 now, and she's one of the, like, when I called her, I was like, yeah, you're not gonna go turn my thing for. She's like, oh, you know, you can get down there early. You can go early, but you can go send your ballot in right now. Like, she was like, you need to vote. She's like, I told your brother he needs to vote. Like, she was so adamant about voting, and that is the type of Black kind of like leadership and just like older generational people in your lives that you kind of need in these points of time, because a lot of people, they just simply don't have they simply don't have people informing them, telling them to do things like vote and stuff like that. And so when you have that, it's like you kind of have to use that and spread it in other ways. And like I said, people on Instagram constantly sharing and posting things. Right. That matters, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna say I wouldn't have voted, because, you know, we gotta get that tangerine up out of there. But it's just, I think me seeing it so much on Instagram kind of even made it more of a point, like, yeah, go do that. You know what I mean? So it's big, it's important. It's one of those things where I keep seeing people repost the analogy of, oh, it's not like one of those things of, you know, you're picking, you know, it's not like something that like should be an option. It's like, no, this is your right, and this is your duty as an American to vote, to say, I want this person leading my country, or I want this person leading my country. So take with that what you will, but I hope that means you will vote. I'll definitely be voting, and what is election day? 19 days away?
November 3rd, yep.
November 3rd. Big day for us.
So, with that being said, vote. There's been a huge marketing campaign all over the United States, like companies, you know, I'm in the shoes. I've been seeing Foot Locker, Nike, all of them like sending links like register to vote. I've never seen that before.
More this year than I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yep,
for sure.
And it could be for various reasons, like you said, the social justice issues that are going on and things like that. But pretty much every company is telling you to vote. So just go and vote, y'all. You know, go and get that knowledge, learn about your candidates, learn about your district, the people that are going up for seats in your district, and all types of stuff like that. That information is readily available for you to go and find out. So that being said, we'll wrap up. We want you guys to vote into episode 2 of Unfinished Business. It's crazy because it's like, it feels like we've been doing this forever.
Yeah, no, it has. It's only episode 2, but I know for a fact that our audience has already grown. It's going to continue to grow. I don't know, we might be a little verifiable, you know, in some of those situations.
But yeah, all right, thanks y'all. Once again, Unfinished Business, ratemycollegecoaches.com, www.ratemycollegecoaches.com. If you are a current or former student athlete, I ask that you please go and rate your experience and pay it forward to prospective student athletes as they make their college decision. We just want to help those out. 21 Future is a streetwear brand that's coming to you in 2021. Danny,
can't wait to rock
say
it.
Anything to the people?
I don't, other than go vote. You know, like she said, support Unfinished Business, support the streetwear brand that's coming 2021. I know I'll be rocking it for sure.
Hey.
You know, kicks and all that type of stuff. So thank y'all for tuning in. We'll see y'all next time.
Peace.